Hello, and welcome back to Medieval History Part 2. After the fall of Rome, Europe didn't look like one unified kingdom, but into different parts with new rules and orders. All of that is in Part 1 of Medieval History of Europe. After 500 AD, Europe fell into the Dark Ages. What were the Dark Ages exactly? It was a brutal time for people and religious people. Plus, it was very unknown time to be written down. A major decline in technology, studies, and economics. There were lots of killings and violence, not a great time to live in. There was another age called the Migration Age, where different people traveled to different places and there was a lot of traveling. At the end of these eras, there were also Vikings in the northern parts of Europe that raided, traded, and took land. And this era with early Europe was really hard for most religious people. And then they had mass killings and violence, sort of to the end. In the 800, there was this guy called Charlemagne, and he was crowned king of the Franks. The Franks expanded into more territory like this, and King Charlemagne decided to designate a spot. He called this spot the Holy Roman Empire to reflect on the Franks' greatness to what the Romans had done. The Holy Roman Empire was just not one state, but it was multiple into one. So King Charlemagne on 25th of December goes to Pope Leo III, and he is officially crowned Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. And King Charlemagne was king of the Franks and emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. But how did the empire work? They used a system called feudalism. Similar to the manorial system in the beginning, there was a king at the top of the chain, then the nobles and lords, which were like fancy rich people that lived in a nice place, then the knights and vassals. A knight is a person who defends its country or king, and a vassal was like a person who gave military help if the nobles or lords gave something in return, like land. This is what Europe map looked like now in 1800, and the Frankish kingdom will be no longer anymore. The Frankish kingdom from the end of the Roman Empire to 1840. They signed their kingdom away in the Treaty of Verdun, which split the kingdom into three sections. One renamed to the Kingdom of Francia, also one being the Kingdom of Germany, and one part of Italy. A little later, England was formed out of multiple tribes of barbarians that lived in the territory. Poland was founded in 925. More and more kingdoms rose and fell, and now it's the year 1095, the beginning of the Crusades. What was the Crusades at the first place? Some call it the Holy War because it was a war between Christians and Muslims, literally. Each side was trying to defend Jerusalem because between them they both saw it as a holy place. For Christians, the Pope was at the peak of making big stacks of cash from all the military. Also, from the Christians, it slowed down Muslim expansion so that they were not able to be under Muslim rule. These crusades were terrible battles and killed many people. And there were three more crusades. The second one was fought in Damascus. The third one was the most brutal, was one fought in Israel. The fourth one was in the Greece area. And who won in these crusades? The Christians won the first one. The second one was won by the Muslims. The third one was a tie. The fourth one was won by the Muslims. So in the end of the Christians failed to succeed in the Holy Land. But over in Europe, the Pope was doing something there. In the 1100s, the church had all this money, and the Pope was like, I'm going to have the power now. And then the Pope became the head of the pyramid. becoming the most powerful leader in Europe. How did the Pope get all this power? Well, all the people thought he was like God on earth, and he could make decisions like make new kings, control the economy, and make new laws. And so the chart didn't look like this anymore, but this. The Pope at the top. Let's travel to the 1300s where war is going on, as the probably famous 100-Year War. A war between England and France, and it was a big territory argument in a battle that lasted 100 years. Also, there's something going on in, let's say, rodents. A big disease that was going on mysteriously behind people's backs. It's the bubonic plague. Although rats weren't the main effect, it was actually humans spreading particles that were deadly, spreading all across Europe. It's one of the most deadliest, if not the deadliest disease, killing 25 million people. There were these doctors called plague doctors that wore masks and robes, and they covered robes in wax so the fleas couldn't stick to them, and the mask could protect them from particles in the air from breathing in. After this catastrophe, Europe began to change their ways and become more civilized in a way of living.